Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Secret Art of Business. And today I have Kristin Harper, who is just doing amazing things right now with her company, Driven to Succeed. Kristin, I'm going to give you complete opportunity to talk about Driven to Succeed, when you started it, and what you actually do for people.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast, my good friend Catherine. Driven to Succeed is an award winning global market research and consulting firm. So, in essence, we translate insights into so what and now what for Fortune 500 brands, for mid market companies. And that includes everything from market research, whether that's focus groups, whether that's surveys, whether that's shop alongs to brainstorming, ideation, to concept development. And then the other division of our business, Kristin Harper and the Expert Collective, we really help people thrive with keynotes, with training opportunities, and executive facilitation. So those are the two divisions of our business, market research and then consulting for professional development.
I love that because I do think it's very necessary. And fun fact is that this podcast has gone global. So hopefully you can even get more business from that. But one thing I want you to definitely talk about is you could definitely put your money where your mouth is on this. And I want you to talk a little bit about your past because you worked in corporate, which I think is also really important for people. I always say, learn on somebody else's dime how to do things really well and then start your own business. So tell us a little bit about, where you worked before you led up to this.
Sure. So I'm a classically trained brand manager. I got my start at Procter and Gamble and then moved to the Hershey Company and then was a global vice president of marketing at Cardinal Health. And so my background and experience is three fantastic companies, global, matrix in nature, and that comes with a lot of complexity working in global matrix organizations, but also to your point, Catherine, such a strong foundation as it relates to general management, as it relates to business, and certainly as it relates to brands and marketing. So I've had the honor of leading global iconic brands, including Crest, Oral B, Hershey's Kisses, and some lesser known household names within healthcare but revered brands among healthcare professionals. Similarly, my team has the same type of background. So, leading global brands and actually walking a mile in our client's shoes. That's part of our superpower is that we have been the client. And so that allows us to go deeper into understanding our existing and prospective clients. It also allows us, especially as it relates to market research, it allows us to not only uncover the insights, but then say, what should you do with this? And we can make those recommendations because we've sat in their seat and can quickly understand their business and translate what we heard in the market research into recommendations that they should make and actions they should take to achieve their business objectives. Similarly, with our speaking and training, we know the nuances of leadership, of influence, of getting work done, of competing priorities in that corporate space. And that really gives us a unique vantage point when it comes to speaking, training, consulting, etc. So that's a little bit of our background. And I would say that that's one of our greatest differentiators and definitely a superpower.
Yeah, and that's absolutely why I wanted you to mention that because you are completely legit with all the experience that you have.
Thank
But then
you.
you decided to start a company. So, what was a catalyst for you to start a company?
Sure. I actually had a speaking engagement at a Fortune 100 company, and I wanted to just technically, I wanted the contract to go through a business and not through me as a person. So that's what started the company literally 5 years ago this month.
Oh my goodness.
That was the only client I had, and I wasn't pursuing any clients because at the level where I was at an executive level, there were only 300 or so VPs and above in the company that I last worked in. And so I knew I couldn't serve two masters. And so when I did that keynote, I took a day of PTO. I made sure that there were no conflicts of interest because I had to keep my day job, right?
Hmm.
But I took the leap of faith to leave corporate just over a year later. The impetus of starting my business full time was I was on my fifth boss in 5 years. um, I realized that what the company needed was not aligned to my superpowers. I was good at leading cost cutting initiatives and increasing the bottom line by millions of dollars, but I didn't find my joy there. My joy is in connecting the dots. My joy comes from innovation, it comes from creativity, it comes from discovery and problem solving. And that level of expertise wasn't necessarily needed. Great company, amazing people that I'm still friends with to this day. There was just a misalignment between what my superpowers are and what brought me joy and what the company needed. And so after applying to some other roles, um, I didn't want to relocate. My husband suggested that, I could commute back and forth. I really didn't want to do that. Nothing worked out. And he suggested, what about becoming an entrepreneur? And I
Oh, well,
said, would you support me? He said, yes. I said, okay, well, let's set a date. So I left in November of 2019 before I knew the word COVID,
well,
before the pandemic, without any customers and even a business plan. All I had was the support of my husband, crazy faith, and a book manuscript. And during the about a year and a half prior, the company had gone through the largest acquisition in company history. And so I know, having gone through acquisitions before, there's just a lot of uncertainty that comes with that. And so I wanted to be sure to stay grounded, connected, and to control the little that I could control. So during that time, I wrote a book. And that was my way of having some semblance of control in a space and a time where there were so many things that were uncertain. So I left also with a manuscript that I knew would be published by a major publisher in 2020. So that's why I took the leap. And 5 years later, here we are.
I really just love your story, Kristen, because there's just so many things that people can take away from that. And like I kind of touched upon, where you kind of get your education with another company, because you said that you named the three things that you left this other company to start your own. But really, you did walk away with just the full education of how to do this too. But you probably didn't. It's that other part that people kind of get confused with, as far as like, well, it's actually starting a business, more to it, and that's all true, but it's all just problem solving when you think about it. And if you know what the service is or the goods are that you want to produce, that's literally probably like 80% of the battle right there. So I love
Absolutely.
that you just said, all right, here we go, we're going to do this.
Absolutely. There are, though, Catherine, there's so many things that I had to learn as a
Yes.
business owner. One is that time just hits differently. I mean, there is never enough time, and time is really the only non renewable resource we have. So I decided very early on, I did not want to be a solopreneur. I did not leave corporate to work harder and longer and be more exhausted than I was before. And so the way to scale and the way to scale time is through a team. And so I decided that very quickly. And that was one of my first learnings, is that time really is different. And there are so many hats that you wear as a business owner. And so again, one of my key lessons was to hire people based on their expertise, because that would get the business faster to the destination faster than if I tried to learn it myself. Because I believe it's important to stay in your zone of genius, to stay
Mhm.
in your area of your superpower, because you'll be more happy, you'll be more fulfilled. It will be faster to get the job done, and you'll close the day with more joy.
I love it. You're totally giving a class here on how to start a business, and I absolutely love it. But with all the words that you said, the innovation, creative superpower, I need to know, when you were small, when you were little Kristen, what did you do that was fun or innovative or creative that you just thrived in? What was kind of your little superpower when you were younger?
It's so funny. So Chrissy was my nickname growing up. And so
Oh,
everybody probably prior to high school or maybe middle school knows me as Chrissy, which is totally fine. Shout out to Suzanne Summers.
yeah, I
Uh,
was Kathy at one time too. So now I'm
yeah,
looking like,
yeah. Um, So Chrissy, what she did for creativity is funny. It was actually centered in business. So I taught piano starting from the age of 14. It
Wow.
was funny, but not funny. My piano teacher, I had taken lessons since the age of 6. Both of my parents played the piano. My mom also played the organ. So I came from a musical family. And she called me and she said, I need you to come right over. So I rode my bike over to her home and she said, I'm 32 weeks pregnant. I just found out. Now, as an adult, as a kid, I'm like, that's crazy. As an adult, I'm like, that's even crazier. I won't tell you what her doctor thought she had up until that point, but she was
Oh man.
legitimately pregnant. And so she asked me to take over her teaching her piano students. And so I did that from the age of 14. So I found a lot of creativity through improvisation, through um, playing the piano, through not only sight reading, but also listening to music and then playing it by ear on the piano. So that is one thing I did for creativity. I don't know how creative this is or not, but I'm an only child.
Hmm.
And there weren't a ton of kids in my neighborhood. So I played with some kids, but I had to keep my mind occupied. And so I love playing cards. I love playing games. I'm so happy that there's so many more game shows on TV at night. I think it's important because it lifts our spirits, right? It's been a hard few years for us here in the US. But I used to play games with Kristin and Chrissy. And I think that built my strategic thinking, as well as just kind of my competitive spirit and my drive to win. So
Oh, there's a
I
lot of
love,
strategy involved in board games and games of all sorts. So yeah, that makes perfect sense.
yeah,
So do you have the opportunity to do that now still? Do you still watch game shows and play board games and things like that?
I do. I love watching game shows. Again, I've been so happy that they've been on prime time at night. Um, Even though I work for myself and I work for my business, I could watch game shows during the day. I think I've done that maybe 3 times in the past 5 years because I'm still very regimented and very disciplined when it comes to, my schedule and everything. But I love game shows. I love playing games. And so, yeah, that's something I find great joy in. And now doing that with my children, I taught them over Christmas how to play spades. So that was
Oh,
fun.
wow. That comes in handy later in life for sure because it feels like
It,
everybody's always, starting a game of that, like at the cookout or in college or things like
exactly.
that. I remember there was a lot of that in college when I was growing up. That's
Yep.
so
Getting them
fun.
ready.
Well, you have to. These are important life skills.
They are. They are. They are. And it's fun because you can learn. I didn't realize it at the time. I thought my mom was just keeping me busy. Like, even when we went on trips, there was I don't know if you've ever played car bingo.
Oh yeah.
It Yeah, it had, different models of cars and the various colors, and she would keep my mind occupied with that and would travel Yahtzee. I thought she was just keeping me busy, and she was, but it was also building a lot of good skills around resilience and about
Oh yeah.
strategic thinking and about being present in the moment, etc. So I love games.
I love it. All right, so let me ask this then. If you were given an opportunity to be on any game show, what would it be?
Definitely The Price is Right.
Nice.
I would love The Price is Right. I love
Yes.
Pressure Luck. Oh, that whammy is so
Oh,
fun. And I love to be on Supermarket Sweep. I
that's a
think
good one
funny
too.
enough, watching those game shows, they're all kind of rooted in math too. I think that built my interest in math as well
Oh
and
yeah.
precision. But yeah, those are some of my favorites.
Oh yeah, I would definitely not discount a game show as far as being frivolous entertainment. There is a lot of, well, not all of them, but there are a lot of educational things in the game shows where you test your knowledge or you like you said you test your math or things like that. And sometimes it's just luck. That's so funny that
Yeah.
you picked that because you had mentioned I haven't watched it in years, and but yet I still know exactly what two games you're talking about when you say press your luck and the shopping sweep.
Yes.
Oh, that's so awesome. Okay. So, what are your plans going forward with your business? What are some of the things that you still would like to tackle?
Yeah. So we are in the process of continuing to expand not only our services, but also the audiences that we serve. So I'm really excited because we've recently brought on two amazing researchers who both have PhDs
Oh,
in
wow.
quantitative and research methods and mixed methods of research. So that is expanding our territory and the services that we can provide. I'm also excited about expanding into government work. The government is the largest um,
Employer, yeah.
organization that employs and hires vendors, and they do mostly surveys when it comes to research. So now that we have those
Wow.
capabilities on our team, we have the capacity and the capability to successfully expand into that space. And personally, I'm really excited because we are going to have our first in-person retreat with a group of Driven to Succeed team members. So I am tremendously excited about that because each person has their respective superpower, and together there's just nothing that beats being in person and being able to collaborate and brainstorm and work through challenges, not only for our clients, but if there may be internal challenges that we want to figure out how to go from good to great and great to superb, etc. So that's what I'm really excited about. And it will be centered around the same time we were just named, we're going to be awarded a milestone award by Conway Family Business Center. And so there will be a
Wonderful.
celebration and luncheon. So some of the part of the team will be able to attend that luncheon, and then we'll have our in-person retreat. So I'm excited about what innovation and creativity can come out of that.
Oh, that's all really, really exciting. And with that said, I want to at least give you a minute to talk about who would be an ideal client for you.
Sure. So, ideal clients on the market research side include companies and organizations. It doesn't matter if it's products, if it's services, but what does matter is that it's focused on a brand. So, our expertise is in um, managing, providing insights to help brands really thrive. Commodities, that's not our focus. Our focus is really around differentiated brands. Industries of focus: consumer packaged goods, food and beverage, financial services, and technology. Those are the industries where we have the greatest depth of experience on our team. Certainly, market research can be done across any industry. So we're definitely
Right.
open to other industries. And certainly, I would say a client that's at 50 million or greater as far as revenue. Our services aren't cheap based on our experiences and the types of work that we do, which is really primary market research. We're leading and curating custom design market research for our clients. On the Kristin Harper and the Expert Collective side, and by the way, I've scaled from a solopreneur to a team of over 25 globally.
Oh, that's
And this
fantastic.
includes several other business owners who are mission aligned with Driven to Succeed, but also have their own businesses doing speaking, training, consulting, etc. An ideal client for Kristin Harper and the Expert Collective. And by the way, the team's expertise there includes leadership, emotional intelligence, employee engagement and resilience, and diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as HR. So, an ideal client there, it's a much broader range. So, we
Hmm.
work from large global Fortune 100 companies down to smaller organizations who really benefit from having an external perspective to inspire, motivate, and most importantly, help the teams to shift mindsets, sometimes shift behaviors toward achieving a specific outcome. So that's a much broader range.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I did like how you kind of worked in there. It's not the cheapest because people should realize that when you get asked for the cheapest, you know what, you get the cheapest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pay for your experts, especially when you're outsourcing too, because that's the whole point of this is that, I want the expert to handle it. So yes, don't be afraid of those conversations. So I think that's fantastic too. Do you still
Yeah.
have the opportunity to play the piano?
I do. I just played it over the weekend. There was a song that was in my mind and that I had been listening to all week, and I said, "I'd like to play this." Yes, I played some chords that just kind of struck my fancy.
I love it. And I'm so jealous of that because that's one of the things that I always wanted to do, which I guess it's not too late, when you think about it, to learn how to play the piano. But I always like the idea of, just getting the mood strikes and you just sit down and you just play. There's just
Yeah,
something so, I don't know, just lovely about that, to just kind of express yourself in that way, in just such a beautiful
very
way.
much
It
so.
is a beautiful instrument. So,
Yeah. And it's not too late. It's going to take a little bit more diligence. My youngest piano student was 4, and my oldest piano student was 80.
oh
And
my
my mom
goodness. Oh,
told
you've
me,
given
yeah,
me hope. You've given me Maybe
my
I'll ask
mom told me when
Casio
I
for
was,
Christmas and then get started.
You can do it. I will tell you that it takes a little more diligence and it definitely takes more practice. The older you are, because we get set in our ways. It's just human, but it's absolutely possible, Catherine.
All right. All right. Like I said, you've inspired me to at least keep looking at this. Like it's a one lingering thing that I've not kind of completed on my checklist. So I might have to actually make some effort to go ahead and do that. Kristin, thank you so much for talking to me today. I really, really appreciate it. I think what your business is amazing, for one, and everything that you've been able to do in such a short period of time. But again, you were really armed with a lot of experience with big companies to kind of help you do this. And now you can help other people, which is really fantastic. So if
Thank you.
people need you, all of your information will be listed when the podcast is posted, so they can reach you. But I would definitely encourage you, if you have issues in any of these areas that Kristin has mentioned, to give her a call. And again, it is Driven to Succeed. And I thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Catherine. It's been a pleasure.